Welcome back to the Football Expert, where we are now discussing the Oregon 2023 football prediction. So make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. We're 33 subscribers away from 1,000 subscribers. I cannot believe it. It has been so long and such a journey. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help me out. We're only 33 away. Like this video if you enjoy it. Comment your thoughts and opinions down below. We've only had a couple of comments. I respond to every single comment, so make sure that you leave your comment down below what you think Oregon's record will be, what your thoughts are on this team with a same quarterback, with a returning quarterback, with Bo Nix, and a second year of Dan Lanning. What are your thoughts going into the season? Also, before we get started, make sure you check out the website, the podcast, and the Patreon page. The podcast will have exclusive episodes as well as the website. There will be some exclusive content on there. Also, make sure you check out College Football Roundup, my YouTube channel with American Football Network. There will be, again, exclusive content on there. So make sure that you check out that for all sorts of other content. Now, let's make our way over to the schedule. So as we get to the schedule, Oregon State has a little bit of an interesting schedule this year. They start off the season with a kind of interesting scenario as they have Portland State at home, but then they have a road game against Texas Tech. So let's start with the Portland State game. This is an easy win. There should be no issues here. You get the dub. Portland State should not be any issue. You should be completely fine. Should be a win there. Then you have a road game against Texas Tech. This is not going to be an easy game. Going to Lubbock, playing your former quarterback, you're in an interesting scenario. Texas Tech is a little bit on the rise. Joey McGuire has done a good job with that program, and with an increasing ability to be able to win games in Lubbock, something that really hasn't been done, even under Cliff Kingsbury. That's one thing that people forget, is that Cliff Kingsbury got fired from Texas Tech before he took the Arizona Cardinals job, and he was going to be the offensive coordinator at USC before that. So Texas Tech is not a consistent winner of a program, but they're definitely being built up. But saying all of that, I still think that Oregon does get the win here. I think that Oregon is just simply the better team. I think that Oregon offensively is just going to be a little bit too explosive. And with the experience of Bo Nix, I expect them not to panic if they do get down or being a game on the road. I think that helps you. And I think that overall, this is a program that I think is in a good spot overall. So I think that they're going to get an easy win here. Now you have a home game against Hawaii. Easy dub here. With Hawaii particularly, it's a team that you just kind of have some years where offensively they're a juggernaut, but this is just not one of those years. They had a scandal come out last year. They fired their head coach. So you're in kind of an awkward phase of Hawaii Rainbow Warrior football. So you should have an easy time here if you're Oregon. Then you have Deion Sanders in prime time coming to town. Well, let's just put it bluntly. Colorado is not that good of a football team. Yes, you have Shakur Sanders and Travis Hunter and Alt McCaskey, or McCaskill III. But outside of that, you really don't have much. Outside of the top-level talent, it's going to be an easy win for Oregon. I think that Colorado is going to make games interesting in that first and second quarter. But when it gets to the third quarter, the fourth quarter, they're not going to be able to keep up. Like, there is going to be a lot of skill talent, and Travis Hunter is going to get tired. He's just not going to be able to be the same player when he's playing both ways. I think that that's just going to be difficult for him. Excuse me. So I think that you're able to get the win there. Then you have a road game against Stanford. This is going to be a pretty easy game. Stanford is not a good team, even though they have a new head coach, and I think David Shaw being gone does help them a little bit. I think overall you should be able to get a pretty easy win here. I think Stanford, with losing Tanner McKee, you lost your best player by far, and I think that you definitely have a lot of work to do at that program with the new head coach, the former Sacramento State head coach, a team that went to the semifinals for the FCS tournament, I guess you could say, because it is kind of a tournament. Then you have your biggest test so far in the season. That's a road game against Washington. This is not an easy place to play. I really hope that this would have been a Friday night matchup. I really like a good Friday night matchup, Washington and Oregon. But at the same time, I do like that they do respect high school football being on Friday nights. So I think that this should be an interesting game. I think that it's a good matchup. But overall, at the end of the day, I think that Oregon loses this matchup. It's in Washington. I get that you're coming off a bye week. I get that Bo Nix and Michael Penix, let's say that they can be a little bit inconsistent, and sometimes Michael Penix can be injury prone. So I think that there's a possibility that Michael Penix is injured and Washington has a bad year and Oregon wins this game. There's no doubt in my mind that's possible. But here's the thing. With this game being on the road and at Washington, and that's a tough place to play on a good Saturday night, which is what I expect this game to be, I think it's going to be a win for the Huskies. I think that both of these teams are pretty evenly matched, and really at the end of the day, what it comes down to is that it's a road game, even though I think that Oregon and Washington are pretty even teams-wise. Then you have a home game against the other Apple Cup team, and that is Washington State. I think that Washington State, they're going to be better than I think some people expect them to be, but overall, I think that they are still a very good team. And Oregon, at the end of the day, is better. They're just simply a better team overall. But as you're getting into the second half of this season with games at Washington, against Washington State, at Utah, USC, Oregon State, this is not going to be an easy second half of the schedule. The first half is pretty easy. And when you look at it, all except for the non-conference game against Texas Tech, it's going to be easier. But once you hit that bye week, it's going to get rough. Then you have another game against Utah. And here's the thing, Oregon, you're not very good at playing Utah. He has just had your number. Kyle Whittingham has just been able to absolutely pull Oregon apart. The one time that Oregon finished the season, I think, with one other loss other than the Utah dismantling. They just got dismantled by Utah twice. I get that Dan Lanning is a different head coach, and you're under a different regime. But at the same time, this is a team that lost to Oregon State last year after being up by, I think it was 21, 24 points. I think that this is a team that is going to have to get a little bit more physical, and I think that it will in year two under Dan Lanning, but I still think that it has a little bit to go before it is at that point. Then next week you head on to Cal. You should get a win here. It shouldn't be a hard game for you. I think that personally, I think the tenure of Cal's head coach, Justin Wilcox, I think he's in a tough position. You really, really gotta probably get about. My guess is that you're probably going to have to get about 6 or 7 wins if you're Cal's head coach in order to continue on. But I don't like what he's done with the program. I think he has a lot of work to do. And I think one of those things is that he just hasn't built up that quarterback position. And with the transfer of Jack Plummer to Louisville following his old head coach, Jeff Brom, who moved there, I think that this is a team that just – you have a good running back. I think, in Cal. But I think overall you have a tough environment at Oregon. I think this is just going to be a tough game. Then finally you have a game against USC. And here's the thing. I think that this is another loss. I'm sorry, but I think that is going to be a tough game. I think that both of these teams are fantastic on the offensive end. Defensively, I think they both struggle. But here's the thing I think it comes down to. Caleb Williams or Bo Nix. I'm going to go with Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams is the best quarterback in NCAA, except for if somebody wants to make an argument for Drake May, I'll hear them out. But I'm really going to go with Caleb Williams. I think he's the best quarterback in the entire NCAA, and he just plays like he's on video game mode all the time. Then you have a road game in Tempe against the Sun Devils. Your former offensive coordinator is the head coach there now. I think you should get a win there. Should be a pretty easy win. I think Arizona State program, Herm Edwards left it in a pretty bad spot. So I think that you are going to be able to get a win there. Then finally, I'll move on to the final game. This is a Friday night matchup with Oregon State. I'm going to give you the win there. I think that you lose most of your big games if you're Oregon. I think you finish 9-3. I think you have a lot of work to do overall as a program. But I think that if you're going to do it, I think it's possible that you are able to do it this year. I think that you can work on things like that. But that's going to pretty much wrap up today's video. So hit the 2 videos down here and hit the subscribe button up here as we're on our way to 1,000 subscribers. And thank you, everyone, for all your support. And as always, have a great day. Bye, guys.